Hello, 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 everyone. I am your Lord Captain Commander Nen, i.e. B. Malachi Dunn. I'm here kind of with a chill hangout stream where I just get to talk about my book that just barely came out, as well as the other books in the publishing season and that have come out previously. Uh, if anybody wants to chat with me, uh, utilizing the chat, or if they would like to come on to the stream, I can give them the temporary guest streamer role and bring them into the stream. I can have up to 10 people on, though I would prefer to keep it to 7 just to limit things so that it doesn't get too crazy. Anyway, I only have one guest so far. Hopefully, more trickle in. That would be awesome because I would like to bounce things off multiple people and ask them about and have them ask me as many questions as they like. But anyway, allow me to bring in.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm happy that finally even though it's been a fun time, I'm very, very happy the publishing season is now over. It's
I can tell, and well, it's National Writers Month, so
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't really think about NaNoWriMo too much since I'm just kind of constantly writing, and
I know it's like that with me too.
yeah. So let me actually show my screen to show you guys. So this year, I was able to publish quite a few books. This one is the latest one, The War of the Dragons, Book 3 of the Dragonlord Annals.
Nice.
It's I'm very proud of this one and how it turned out, since it's very much it was kind of a book that I kind of was like at a standstill with for a long time. Then finally I figured out, okay, this is how I want it to end. But it was very gratifying to be like, alrighty, don't need this to be like super long. I just need this to be there to kind of connect into this whole anthology series that I'm working on. And that was kind of the idea, especially like the deaths of, since one of the things about this series that I kind of decided that I wanted to do was I didn't want to have like a giant overarching story with kind of similar characters with the same characters in each book. I wanted to have it be more of kind of a generational story where each book is about a different generation of dragon riders that are in the same family, as well as like branches of the same family fighting against each other, working coming together in a single empire, then splitting again, civil wars all over the place, that sort of thing.
So kind of Game of Thrones-esque, the way it was supposed to be.
Game of Thrones is an overarching plot with a consistent cast of characters over the space of 5 years. What I'm covering is about 1,000 years, roughly.
Wow. Okay.
So basically, like, first book is about one generation and its singular struggle. then the second book is about the children of the main character of the previous book were kind of striving to earn their own way in the world and work out how are we going to like kind of make our mark on the world when our dad is basically the Charlemagne / Alexander the Great of this world.
So huge shadow to get out of from under, and huge shoes to fill.
Yeah, and his daughter actually ends up filling them and surpassing him in terms of conquest done.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I used a lot of Alexander the Great like stuff with her. But I'll talk more about that after I bring in our next guest.
The current Wolf Lord of the Space Wolves is Logan Grimnar, also known as the Old Wolf. He rules from the Hall of the Great Wolf, together with his wolf lords such as Harold Deathwolf, Eagle Ironwolf, and Bjorn Stormwolf.
All I got out of that was wolf, 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 and wolf.
The Space Wolves are incredibly uninspired.
Good afternoon, Wolf.
I feel I feel like a naked wolf right now.
How so?
I know absolutely nothing about your book. I just can't.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I mean,
This is me pimping the book.
I'm just here to pop the champagne, and I'm here to pop the champagne, tell everyone to get the book, and sip for Neph. So, and,
how dare you say sip?
sorry.
Mediocre.
Sorry. I mean, fuck, what's the proper term?
Drool over. Let's go with that.
I am sorry for offending you. Please don't punish me.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna do that.
Whole mood
That's silly.
Yeah, I'm popping I'm popping the champagne. Everybody, I am glad that glad that you managed to get a book out.
This year. I've gotten 6 out this year.
Yeah. It's like, congrats. Again.
Wow, 6 books. That's amazing.
So,
I am proud of you.
Yeah, allow me to share the screen. So over the course in 2015, I published my first book. And that was The Lost Legion, right here. And then in 2017, October, I published The War of a Thousand Kings, which is the second Lost Legion book. After that, I did some work on some different projects and put out The Rise of the Dark Queen, which was kind of just a side project I worked on kind of like while I was editing.
Mm-hmm.
And which started the Dark Queen series?
The Rise of the Dark Queen series, initial idea was I love the Battle for Middle-earth to Rise of the Witch King campaign. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of in the history of Lord of the Rings, but there's no depth in it. There's no, like, it's just like a series of events that's described. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to try something like this. I want to see what would happen. I want to try and write some things, but I had to kind of make some changes to the story to make it so that I wouldn't get sued. So I decided that I was going to basically gender swap the main character and throw in some elements around to make it different enough. Like for instance, I kind of made it like less about like a person who's just getting revenge because they're under the control of a dark lord, like it is in the book. Well, not even in the book, in the appendices of the book. And I just made it so that it was like the story of a man who goes over to the dark side but keeps his integrity intact. And she's kind of like the facilitator of the plot in a lot of ways. And he's kind of our viewpoint character.
So he's basically a 9-to-5 villain-esque character.
It's more like he is a military commander for ostensibly
Lawful
the bad
evil.
guys. Yeah, he's lawful evil. Though one thing that he does do, that we see him initially, like he kind of sees the fact that the kingdom he's a part of is terrible, because basically he's been living in what's essentially a penal colony area for the entirety of his life, and he's been persecuted by the system because he's an albino.
Ah.
And he's unable to, like, he's kind of sees the poverty of the people living there. So what he does is he'll steal food from the overpacked garrisons and cities and give the food to the townspeople. And
kind of a dark Robin Hood then.
Yeah, pretty much. And then when the Dark Queen comes in with her army, he joins up with her army and rises through the ranks. He gets an initial promotion because he has magic, but then he ends up in a lucky strike. He manages to lure the king the king of the country into a trap that ends up getting the king killed. And then he backs off into a lake and uses surprise tactics to get the enemy army caught in the river, with him attacking them from both sides. It's while they're stuck in the river.
Ah.
And then once they beat them, he has everyone in his all the humans in his army, since he's got trolls and Uru, which are goblins. So he has his humans dress up in the Anarian armor, and then has them go into the enemy city and take it that way rather than assault it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I like the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of like, it's one of my shorter ones. It's not very long. I might actually go back and create a second edition where I kind of fix some of the prose, maybe smooth out a few things, maybe give some more description, stuff like that. Kind of just improve what's there, kind of a little bit more polish, since I did it like 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, it was a while back when I started this.
Good luck not cringing at it then.
I think that like it'll be. I'm not gonna cringe, since it's not like, since I at least like wrote it when I was 21, 22. So I'm not as worried about that one as like the stuff than like Dragon Blaster that I wrote when I was 16.
I still want to see that.
Yes, I do too.
I can put a copy up on there for beta reader purposes if you guys want to read it.
Yes.
I will put it in our chat. I will put it in our private
Please.
chat. I have not finished. It's not finished. It's only like 78 pages. You can totally put it. I'll put it up there, and you can kind of give me your thoughts on what you would like to see more, or what like would be better.
Okay.
Sure.
Yep. And then the next book in the series is Wrath of the Dragon Queen. So
Which is right there.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I kind of realized about this series is that it wasn't necessarily like, I thought it was going to be an anthology series. At least like these two books kind of work in conjunction as a pair, and the other two are isolated stories. But then when I realized that each of the books kind of are more like the overarching story of this one guy's life. the first book is his parents meeting and hooking up. The second one is his birth. The second one is his life, and then the fourth one is his life after he dies, as in is basically stuck with a person that he's trying to mentor. And initially she listens to him for a while, but then like when she becomes queen, things kind of become a little bit harder, especially when she sinks into a very depressive alcoholic stupor.
I think you've read some of that.
Yeah, I did a while back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
the
still
Queen
like it. It's really awesome.
Yeah. I actually put the reading up on the channel, just that reading, if anybody wants to read it, they'd ever listen to it. Just look up Kaya's PTSD or Kaya's trauma or something like that, and you'll be able to find it. And then like Queen of Spring is kind of the third book of the Dark Queen series, where basically one of the characters, I will not say who because it's a surprise in book 2, basically gets his soul trapped in a suit of armor and is unable to get out of it. And he just is stuck in a state of living death. So
that sounds like Alphonse from
Full Metal
Alchemist. Yeah.
And that actually sounds very similar to the Broken Lord situation. Just trapped in a suit of armor, only without the vampire part and the tragedy part.
Further proof that there's no such thing as an original idea, because I've never read either of those two.
Don't feel bad. I haven't read Full Metal Alchemist either.
And,
I've heard that it's good, but I just can't. I can't get past like the first two.
I watched the original. I watched the Basement Host. Yeah. I have actually. I watched the original 03 Full Metal Alchemist series. I have heard that it's a very crappy adaptation of mine, and Brotherhood's the better version of it. And the Broken Lord is actually from a game, not a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, but I like being creative with ideas, even if I'm not being original with them. Pretty much everybody is art. Pretty much everybody's creative.
Yeah, there might not be an original thought out there, but there are original ways to do those thoughts.
Yeah, it's kind of the idea of this guy. I think kind of like the thing that I wanted to do with just a guy who wasn't doing bad things for the sake of doing bad things. He actually wants to die, and so he's basically almost playing into the idea of being a bad guy in order to get the nations of the world to come against him.
Truly a tragic villain, essentially. But not even a villain, like more like an anti-villain.
Yeah, and like thing is, he's got a giant army of the undead. So I'm just like, alrighty, well, here's my chance to do Game of Thrones better than Game of Thrones did.
That's not hard. It's called actually knowing.
It's not hard.
It's called actually knowing how military sieges work.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually like I kind of switch things around where I don't have, instead of like the undead attacking like a thank you. Basically what I did, since George R. R. Martin is never going to finish those books, he's going to die before he finishes those books.
Yeah, I know that. I kept joking that he'll croak before he finishes the next book.
Yeah. Oh, I've believed that for a long time, since and most of the fandom kind of accepts that George R. R. Martin is unfortunately going to shuffle off this mortal coil.
Yeah, it's just
kind of
too bad.
Yeah. So what I did was, like, I actually utilized the undead have basically been locked away in this icy range. Kind of imagine like if it's Middle Earth, imagine like everything like northwest of the Misty Mountains is an icy wasteland with nothing there.
Sounds creepy.
Sounds like Sargost.
Sounds
Yeah.
delightfully
It's
creepy.
It's up Saragoth,
Yeah.
the land of ice and ash.
Yeah, that's part of one of the things where it's even the trees are frozen, and like the minute the people go into this place, the first thing they hear is the silence, except for wind, because there's nothing, not even like birds are alive in there.
It's just so cold that life just ceased to exist.
Pretty much.
It's like life.exe has stopped working. There is no rebooting it.
Yep.
It's above the
The recommended the temperatures for survival, where even the most hardy of animals.
I'm trying to think of the line above which trees just can't grow.
I don't know.
I think that's the.
Well, kind of think of it like it's not. It's more like winter abruptly came and froze the entire kingdom in stasis.
Oh, you mean a la Lion Witch in the Wardrobe?
Here it is.
Kind of, yeah, but it's basically like not even like it's not that the trees can't grow. It's that the trees are stuck in frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. There are very few trees out there that can even survive negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, I guess like so the ice doesn't. I don't think it would crack in this case because it is so cold. And partially it's magic, so
Yeah.
A wizard did it, of course.
yeah. Well, I kind of built in that.
course.
Yeah, I built into the series that it's basically a magic artifacts that are able to do that give people power unless you're an albino, in which case you have kind of a connection to the netherworld. So you don't have necessarily the ability. You have the ability to. You need an artifact in order to use magic, unless you are an albino. Is how it works.
And I'm presuming these artifacts, they're not very easy. Well, obviously they're not easy to find. They're artifacts. If they're easy to find, then they would just be objects.
There's only 5 of them.
Whoa.
At least for the first 3 books. Basically, there's just originally this meteor hit the Earth, and people used the metal to forge magic weapons.
Nihilism. I had to think of Frostbook when you said that about how everything froze in place. Oh my god! Even Frost. I remember that. Okay, to give you context, Frostbook, one of the maps, there's just a giant ice. It's a caved-in crater, and then there's a giant ice wall. And there's like endless amounts of forest, all separated in a sheet of ice, contained, preserved. There's even a tech you can pick up that allow you to build specialized wall drills that just to get the tree and to penetrate those things and get the trees out, so you can turn them into wood.
Oh, that's interesting.
The cold is so bad that it gets even better. In order to even survive the temperatures, you have to wear several layers of just thick clothing just to keep yourself barely warm. Or even then, it's like that's out saying a whole lot. You're still freezing.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I did with the when they eventually go north is they have to like magically enchant their armor so that they can just live. They don't die in the frozen north. Because it's so cold up there, and they're kind of coming at it with
magical frostlands are hellscapes.
Yeah, they're coming at it with one thing that they have is they have the Dragon Blade, which is a thing that commands fire. They've got the Storm Blade. They've got a magic staff, and they have the Elven Water Blade, the Sea Blade, I guess. And they're going north, and the only way that they can think to win is by just going for it and killing the bad guy by making a wild charge through, and just trying to make it keep their supplies as well
as possible.
Yeah, even though like their supplies get half their supplies get destroyed in one of the first battles, so they're having to actually eat their horses and the dwarves riding goats and a few others.
Sorry.
Oh, and basically just they have to just constantly eat their livestock, and they have to bring feed along with them because otherwise they won't be able to feed their animals.
Yep.
And that basically takes up a lot of the conflict of most of the campaign of the third act.
Yeah, just keeping your army supplied.
Pretty much, yeah. And they they originally had the ability to teleport in supplies, but unfortunately that they needed to sacrifice that to win one of the battles, making it so that they have to just live off what they have because they can't send any troops back.
Yeah, that's
Is it something similar to the Soulcasters from?
I used that idea in Lost Legion. I did not use that in this one.
Okay.
Basically, with this one, it's basically they had a bumper harvest earlier in the year. Basically, they spent a year or two prepping for this campaign and carefully stocked up food for this attack, and basically just had a giant supply train that they would drag through. But the problem comes in with the bad guys not needing any food.
Yeah, that they're always for the enemy that has no need that has all the time in the world.
Yeah. So the issue becomes, how do we fight that? And basically I kind of try to talk about it as much as I can in this, where they're stuck just attacking the enemy because they have to assault the enemy fortresses. Since I don't know about you, but it's kind of annoying when undead soldiers don't use fortifications.
Where of attrition doesn't work because, well, they're undead. They don't need to eat.
Yeah,
you do.
You know your army's in trouble when attrition happens, and when it doesn't happen to the enemy, and it's happening to you, you're screwed.
Yes, very much so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Osnilium. They still need the glowworms to lamp on them, which makes heat its emergency flare, even as not enough. Barely, and it's barely even close. For context, if you can even zoom in on the houses when you build proper houses, and then when you turn on the generator, nope. And when you turn off the generator, you just notice giant clumps of snow on them. Mm-hmm. And on the storm, it could get up to negative 150 degrees Fahrenheit if you're playing on the hardest difficulty.
Wow.
Yeah, the storm is the storm is the final. It's the final act of the main of what was originally the first and only scenario, which is just a new home. Then he brought in two new scenarios. It was the arcs where you just had to maintain seedling arcs, which housed seeds for the next generation of plants. But you didn't. But the kicker is you didn't have. All right, negative 160 degrees Celsius. Sorry, Yeah, it gets freaking cold. Yeah, and these ceiling arcs, they're essentially like the last hope, but the kicker is you don't have any workers. You have nothing but engineers, and engineers refuse to do menial worker tasks like going hunting. Then you have the refugees, where the kicker now is that you're dealing with that now you're getting a lot of work first, but the problem is you're gonna have to house them all, feed them all, because they're coming in waves, and eventually you'll run into the nobles from who you took this from. And then there was another scenario, the Fall of Winter Home, which appeared in the original scenario. You always saw the aftermath, but in the Fall of Winter Home, you essentially get to see what happened beforehand. Why did it fall? Well, apparently, it was originally a military outpost. Then when everyone came up north, they turned into kind of a hellhole. People revolted, and the generator got broken. They thought they fixed it, and then it was revealed, no, the generator is actually going to blow up.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a race against time to get everybody out. Just because because they'll delay the generator's explosion, but they won't stop it from exploding. There's no stopping it. It will, it's all a matter of time. But the player has to essentially get them out, find a new home. And the next is the next one was I think it was, what was it? The Last Autumn, which took place before the Eternal Winter Hell. Essentially, you got to see the process of how the generators were constructed. Initially, you dealt with science. You deal with engineers and workers, but now you deal with social issues like, having to deal with the fact that they're not in a life or death scenario, so classism is a thing. Then you also have to deal with safety issues such as gas that's constantly coming out of the shaft, which can endanger the safety of your workers, manufacturing, as well as dealing with the fact that you're going to be importing all of your resources back from London. As well as your engineers and workers, you don't get new ones regularly. You have to expend supplies to get so, but then you also have to take into account that you could either get engineers, workers, and then steam core. You can still, depending on how much logistics you have on you, you could relatively get a lot of workers, maybe a small number of engineers, but not a whole lot of steam core, since steam cores are a valuable resource, even in this game. You need those, and the new scenario is essentially trying to build a new world out of this hellhole. And remember, the main event that allowed all this technology and Frostpunk to exist was Charles Babbage actually finishing his difference engine. Too much?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, when I am more interested in something when I dig into the lore. Like, there isn't, it's not a freaking something you need 20 different lore books for. It's pretty simple lore, very easy to go through. You can even find a lot of it just on the Wikipedia, just on the Gamepedia itself page. You'll just find the image. Yeah, quote from the Frostpunk art book: "The ultimate winter is not only a visual theme, but a real factor influencing the gameplay, and something challenges and obstacles on your road to survival." Yeah. It is theorized that it is pretty much thought of and pretty much confirmed that this all happened because of global cooling, where lots of ash started to cover the sunlight. It's unclear why this happened, but it is global cooling. They just don't know the cause of why this happened. That's it. I don't want to go into too much because otherwise we'd be here forever.
Yeah.
This is launch party, not that you listen to Wolf talk about stuff he's interested in Variety Hour.
Well, it's always good when you get interested in lore, because that shows that you're paying attention.
It shows you really do care.
Yeah.
Wait,
anything else done?
Done?
Huh?
Done? Oh, wait, left. He was AFK.
Did you?
No, he was just AFK for a bit. He didn't let us know.
Yeah,
I would like
sorry,
to talk to you. Yeah, I would like to
Yes.
talk to you. I would like to talk with you, Annals, sometimes. Maybe in a server when this is over.
Yeah, sorry, I had to go to the bathroom.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sorry. Call of nature is unavoidable sometimes, unfortunately. Anyway, yeah, sorry. What did I miss? Sorry.
You listened to me rant about the lore of Frostpunk. You listened to me go off on the lore about Frostpunk for the past 5 minutes or so.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. So that's kind of like, I think like the main like crux of the story was actually like the kind of, especially like with Queen of Spring, the main thing I kind of wanted to focus on with it was this young man who went to like kind of was part of an adopted family because his mom dies at the end of the second book, and it's several hundred years later at the time of the third book. He's just kind of been transported through time to the next phase of this war so that he can go up against his dad and bring him peace, since his dad is the guy who's stuck in a suit of armor.
That's always fun.
Yeah. And
Can also be very heartbreaking if they had any kind of relationship before that happened.
actually, I think that's what's tragic, is that they never had the opportunity to meet each other before this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because he died. His dad actually died and was put into the suit of armor when his mom was pregnant.
Lich King.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of, yeah. There was a little bit of Arthas, but he doesn't necessarily do as many. He's basically, what happened in the second book is that he got possessed by the suit of armor and the angry souls of all the albino children who had ever died possessed him and went on a rampage.
Yikes.
And because of that, he was forced to basically just stay as he was for a long, long time without the ability to like do anything. And he didn't even know that he had a son. He just kind of asks him he just speaks to him in a dream and says, "Please, son, I need your help. I need to die. I want this to end."
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
And like the worst part is just like this kid just like only knows vaguely about his dad from his adopted mom, who his mom and her like connected just before the battle, and she said, "I'm all right, I'll raise the kid for you."
Yeah.
So, and like he kind of like is built on the connection to his adopted mom more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, we do have another guest. Please welcome.
Nice.
Seriously, that thing melted the wall.
Oh,
Yeah, it could destroy a little bit of stone. What the hell, Dragon? Did you get nerfed?
it was the fucking showrunners. I told you. I keep telling you guys
What
every
happened that you
time.
got nerfed halfway through the episode?
I know it was like a fucking video game. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, here's what they patched. They patched your intelligence rating down to -50. They nerfed your fire to less than that, to 1/4 of its original power. No, sorry, 1/3, 1/16.
Yeah.
Then you have also have increased delays. Is if you're being shouted at, Skyrim style.
I'm Wolf.
House rules, Sammy. Driver picks the music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
Thank you.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hashtag nerf that.
Alrighty. So, to answer your question, Queen of Spring is indeed the continuation of an arc. Basically right now I'm running 5 series at the same time. I'm running the Dark Champion Trilogy, the Bloodied Crown Trilogy, the Dragonlord Annals, the Perion Chronicles, which is finished, so I don't need to worry about that. And a couple of other books, a couple of standalone books like Sunkiller and Sea of Madness. Those are kind of what I'm working on right now. So this is kind of like just a book 3 of a continuing series that I've been working on. Book 4 should be out next year, and we'll finish the series completely. So, no, it is not. So this is the third of 4 to answer the question. No, they're not. No.
Well, you could do what Type Moon does and just say that, it's technically yes, but also no. It's connected, but it's not connected.
Or you can do what what's his name did?
Sanderson?
Yeah.
It's kind of, they're not even remotely connected with the each other. Like Lost Legion's its own thing. Dark Queen series is its own thing. The Dragonlord Annals is its own thing. Bloody Crown is its own thing. Arc Champion is its own series. Ares Sun Killer is its own series. Sea of Madness is its own thing. That's kind of how it is. So, but kind of like, it actually all started with the Lost Legion. I actually just kind of started writing this when I was 16. And then I started editing it. The main thing that I did that I was kind of just looking around for an idea that I really liked. And I just I played this game called Mage Knight back in the day, and an expansion came out a little bit later, and I read the synopsis of the game, kind of the setup of what it is, and I was like, holy cow, this is an awesome idea. And it was a just a neat idea where it's just this general vanishes for hundreds of years and then comes back with a giant army, and nobody really knows where he's been. And I'm okay, that is an excellent base concept for something. I'm going to use that. And that's what I did. So the the main thing about this series was basically I had to originally piece of the game is actually the antagonist. So I've kind of weird in that I've always liked the antagonists of stuff more than I like the good guys because the bad guys kind of are a little bit cooler and more interesting. Like,
well, yeah, that's the way it's always been.
yeah, so I'll just take bad guy aesthetics and apply it to good guys since pretty much all of like most of my main characters to one extent or another have black or red as their primary color or both, and it's kind of just my consistent color scheme that I have.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that those two colors look good together.
Yeah. And kind of with Lost Legion, so kind of to give you an idea of like what I was able to do this year before I go back to it, I first published Prince of Winter this year, and then I put out Tempest of Shadow, I believe. Let's see, this was June, and then Tempest of Shadow was July, then Blood of the Dragon was August of this year, and then let's see, Queen of Spring was September, then where's the dragon? Then the first Dragonstrife was in October, and then finally this one here in November. November of this year was what I was able to accomplish.
The ambiguously done universe.
Yeah. Not quite. I doubt that I will connect any of these particular things. Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah, it is kind of a lot. And then, like, before that I had 6, so I was kind of just working on just a bunch of different areas at the same time, and like as I was writing, I was able to just kind of finish them all mostly roughly at the same time, and even sit on manuscripts so I can kind of give myself a buffer so that in between projects I could put them out. And I knew that I had to put out the first Dragonstrife before I did War of the Dragons, because if people don't have reference for some of the for the events in War of the Dragons, it's not gonna like make sense. So I put it in a little novella so that people could like, oh, okay, so this is what happened. This is what he's talking about. That sort of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the thing that I noticed kind of like as I was writing War of the Dragons and like kind of as I was like getting ready to publish it, I realized, you know what? There's some things missing here. One of the dragons that was a pivotal thing in the last book is not here. So what happened to him? So I eventually decided, okay, I need a way to get rid of them, but I also need a way to split the kingdoms in 2 for the 3rd book, and I need to kill off a few other dragons. I'm pretty much just continuously writing. I wrote a novella in 3 days, so in like 3 or 4 days. And that was the first Dragonstrife. I might, like, if I start to finish, I think that I could, but I would have to do nothing else for that entire month. I might be able to now that I've finished with my publishing season, but I'm not sure.
I know that I've only been able to do that in November once. And that was when I'd already finished what I was working on.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried. I could try. I would like to. Well, it's like 17. Oh, maybe not 3 days. I think it was like 3 days worth of work was. It was only like 17 or 18K. I think it's really short. It's like the bare minimum that a novella can be. So pretty good. I'm proud of it. Just me pimping my book. That's all, Dr. Crow. No worries.
Lord Captain Commander Pimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been pimping everything on your page.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, it's not even like my page. It's just I search for myself on Amazon, and all of my books came up, which is nice.
Yep.
So, I guess with Lost Legion, it was kind of I had to kind of like give the character of originally it was Valcor. I changed the name to Valkar. Mysteriously go missing. What? And then it turns out that sounds like a hilarious parody book.
Yeah, it sounds really funny. I would read that.
Yeah.
No, honestly, that sounds like something we could write as a anniversary read. Hey, listen to us, Rez. We write the stupidest thing ever.
Maybe.
It actually sounds like it would be fun.
You know, maybe I could do that. It's like,
yeah.
It's like I base the characters off of something, and then I have them act out character for absolutely no reason, and then they do the stupid things. Even they get told, and then they get told about a major threat, and then they just walk right into it, and they're like, "I kind of forgot they were there." It's like I told you.
Oh, getting flashbacks of a certain show. Oh, shut up. No, please.
Oh, that's not all. I also have inconsistent power levels and plot armor.
You know, I was actually thinking, well, maybe not God. I think it would actually be funny if the people in a fantasy story like come out of the fantasy book, beat up the author, and send him to rehab.
Shit.
It would basically be your drunk God, go home.
No, it's like this book is self-aware, and it goes to the writer's room.
Who here wants to help write this amazing story so we can read it?
I would.
All right, then. Who else?
Well, there's already a $1 billion TV show that was made off of it.
I know, but
called Season 8.
I know,
Yeah.
it'll be funny just because.
Entire characters forget their art.
Enough.
Here's the self-awareness part. The characters are aware of something that doesn't make sense.
GM or the author would be better.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah.
Game Master.
No, Ryan Johnson's not good enough. It should be Ryan, David.
No, Ryan Benny. Let's just go with Ryan Benioff.
No. It should be
No.
It should be Ryan, David, Kojima. There, 3 hats.
Kojima is not bad. He's just insane.
And it still managed to sink his own series.
Yeah.
Like Volantis.
Let's just go with Dan Benioff.
No, I got a better one. Dan, Kathleen, Brian, and Rowan.
No.
It's like some form of German, so it's very long.
Kathleen Kennedy is an enabler for the drugs of her underlings.
Okay,
the drug trips of her underlings.
Okay, how about this? We make the author's name the first name of every horrible, terrible writer in existence.
No.
No, we're not gonna do that. I think we'll just come up with some name.
That'll make a whole chapter.
That's it. Some guy.
We'll just go with.
No, we can't use some guy because that goes to just some guy.
It would subvert my expectations, thinking they would actually have a original name.
Let's just put in placeholder.
No. No.
Okay,
Kathleen's the one selling. Oh, yep.
Okay. Okay. All right then. What should the name of this? What's the name of this masterfolk be? Peace.
I have to ponder on that a bit.
Yeah, I think we need to
game
go
of
back.
a game of Last Stranding.
No.
Come on.
We'll figure this out later. I need to advertise.
Yes, we'll figure it out later.
Weren't we already advertising your newest book?
My newest 6 books, actually. Well, 5, I think. Let me see.
Written by Benioff Johnson.
No.
Oh,
hi!
hey, Shiny's here!
Hi, Shiny.
Hi.
Oh, hey, Shiny. It's
Welcome. Nice to see you, Shiny.
Hey, Shiny. Hey, Shiny. How goes your relationship with Glib?
What?
Yeah.
Explain this.
Shiny and Glib are in a love-hate relationship.
Now, listen. I would not mind if it turned out you two weren't very much in love together.
Glib? Well, isn't it that guy like on EFAP or something?
Yeah, he's the guy that was arguing against Rick Worley and Anomaly Inc. along with PSA Sitch.
Oh, yeah. I met him in chat one day on the Mulder's channel.
Yeah. I like Glib. I stream with him frequently. He has very firmly held opinions about the prequels.
Yeah, he's often on Smudcast.
Yeah. I have my own personal issues with the prequels, but I'll leave that for another time, if at all. I think it's pretty much the prequels have been talked to death.
Yeah.
That one has been beaten into the ground.
Yeah. So, but with The Lost Legion, originally I was working on this book, and I'm
not the big gay, Shiny. You're the big gay.
Of course I am.
For example, I have a picture of my wife. Listen, I am completely straight.
I have,
as evidenced by him drooling over me.
I am doing so right now.
I hope the laundry bill isn't too bad.
I don't know.
Damn, let me take care of something like Rick.
Yeah. But with Lost Legion, it was kind of like I wanted to kind of fill in some of the gaps in the ideas of this book series. So everyone else talks about the prequel stuff.
He's already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard
to believe.
Yeah.
I need to find this on the.
Yeah.
So, listen, you talk to me about me being gay when you admit that you were in love with Shine, that you're in love with Glib.
Huh?
Like a minute, just a minute. Just come out. I'll support you. I'm not against it.
How would that work? You'll have like fur.
You just get sheared in that one area. Let's go with putting it as a tramp stamp right on his
right on his bumhole or something. No. Welcome to Discount EFAP, everybody.
I will leave the prequels alone. I don't care. Anomaly Inc. ends them enough for pretty much the most of the internet, and pretty much the rest of the internet have criticized them all enough. So I'm down to just leave
I'll leave the prequel debate to Anomaly.
Yeah.
We're just here to talk about Ryan. We're not here to talk about the prequels because this is not a fight that none of us
We can't talk about any of that. Spider-Man's coming out.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Oh my god, I'm a freaking idiot. Guys, listen, we should stop talking about anything, period. Don't you know what's coming out?
Dune.
Yes, Dune's coming out. Dune!
Oh wait, no. Dune's not coming out. It got pushed back.
The Batman.
Oh, thank God. Thank
no,
God
not-
it did.
I actually think Dune will be good. I don't think it'll be bad.
It's 2020. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I just want 2020 to be over.
I don't trust anyone to adapt anything these days. That's the problem.
Well, Denis Villeneuve is not crazy like most of the other authors. Based on his track record, he hasn't done a bad job of doing stuff. Like Blade Runner 2049 was apparently pretty good. What else has he done? I think he did Drive.
Freaking on all of Discord right now, everybody's
Dune
muted.
Done, not Dune. I'm not coming out. I don't like guys like that.
Listen, Done, I won't judge you. Like
you haven't lived.
I am.
Hey, Zoe's here.
Yeah, hi Zoe.
Hey guys, I'm Zoe. I can't do the fucking girl voice.
Hello, I am Zofats. I am here to make your life better because I am a sparkly vampire from Twilight.
That's totally better.
By the way, Miles Styles has a pretty good inquiry. I'm trying to figure out in what werewolf category Wise Wolf will fit into the categories I made for my world, i.e. pack, forest, or city werewolf.
You'd be a city. You're too posh.
Yeah.
I despise the city.
What?
But I am a new. But I.
What's the difference between pack and forest?
I mean, I can insult. I mean, I can't swear with a bit of eloquence with me.
You're definitely a city werewolf.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm just thinking that context to this.
How I interact with people is the same way my mother would. Just pretty much ignore everybody, be suspicious of everyone, and be suspicious of everyone, and if they get in your way, and just start bothering you, just act, and just start cursing. The EX pronoun itself. Hello, I am Zelfrat, and I am Gamer. Still Sith Wolf. God damn it, shut up, Crow. Wait, where's Crow? Crow!
Crow!
Wait, no, that's racist.
Crow.
Oh!
We'll get him eventually.
Eventually. Eventually. We'll see.
Let's see.
I'm just start mimicking each other.
Werewolves are pureblood werewolves which live in packs of at least 4 families.
Mom, he's mimicking me! Mom, he's mimicking me!
What the fuck is that supposed to be?
A Spy Kids reference.
They are the most traditional werewolves and are strong versus the Horned God.
I have no context to any of this.
Miles Nyland is creating a world, and I actually looked at his sheet for the werewolf lore. It's very interesting. I mean, I could mimic somebody. I could try, Johan. Let me think. Hello, welcome back to this. No.
Yep.
My name is the Horn God, the god of the hunt, and is the creator of the werewolf race.
Interesting.
Nice.
Horns is an antler.
Oh my god. What is this? Some Skyrim stuff now?
No, I think this is something original.
Oh, nice.
Oh no, you said Lord of the Hunt. I'm like, I'm getting Hershey vibes. He's a Daedric Prince of the Hunt.
insert Dovahkiin theme here.
Well, it's Elder Scrolls, not just there, but yeah.
Eat that meme. Eat that meme.
I'm going to make yay subjective of my objective opinion. Well, that's just your subjective opinion.
That's a little fluffy mind
In my
fuck.
opinion.
My opinion.
Oh my god.
Wow, you just invalidated yourself, Jesus.
Yeah, you see, I am it, but then again, it's because I like good films, and because you do not like the Luke making a giant space cow titty milk scene. You are obvious, and you're boring and lame, and I do not want to be friends with you.
Having the big... Oh, it's subjective? Oh, really? I'll have to have a word with Parthenax with you. To prove it.
I mean, I could say all day about how my subjective opinion is therefore objective because I say it is, and I have big hat, and I speak, and I am also, I have glasses, and I talk with a uppity British voice. Therefore, my opinion is clearly right.
It's like he has a literally giant hat. It's like something that's stupidly absurd and big glasses for some reason. I have no idea why that picture just popped up in my head.
Seriously, I can.
And he's talking in a condescending voice too.
Okay. Okay. So, alrighty, cool. So back on excellent. Back on topic. Okay. So to answer that question, allow me to scroll down to the War of the Dragons. So the War of the Dragons is book 3. So just like the first book of the Dragonlord Annals is kind of like the startup. I read the first book in a section of the first book where the character gets his dragon for the first time. Gets his dragon, Vagar, spelled V-A.
That sounds
I have to ask a serious question here. Done.
Yes.
Halloween or Christmas?
Halloween.
Christmas, I get more presents. Halloween, I just stay inside.
Okay, so you aren't dead. Okay, that's good. You aren't dead to me. Neph? Halloween or Christmas?
Is that something from the Song of Ice and Fire?
Halloween and Christmas?
Yeah, it's an E.
Christmas.
My love for you has increased by 1,000.
So,
okay, White
it's
Dragon.
very similar. It's very similar in term. So I just kind of like the name. I changed it to Veagar rather than Vhagar. Was kind of how I got around that. So it's very similar, and I even said let's see, and kind of just because like I knew what I wanted to do with this series, I even named one of the characters Amond, kind of because I like the name. All the big. Let's go with that.
Forget pagans.
Yeah, but like kind of like the nice thing about it is you can kind of read a lot of these books kind of individually and kind of get at least like the gist of what's going to go on. So, oh my god, no, actually, the notion that destiny is fickle. I didn't realize that. Let's go with that.
Oh dear.
Okay, so why I hereby disavow you. Your mother your
mother was
dear.
a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries.
That was it.
Well, my mother was a piece of shit. She locked me in the fucking pyramid for no fucking reason. It wasn't even me who fucking burned that child. What an asshole.
Yeah.
You're going to burn in a very special level of hell. A level they reserve for child molesters and people who talk at the theater.
That's always going to get a laugh out of me. That's
what the hell is that from?
It's from Firefly. It's the full quote is, "If you take sexual advantage of that girl, you're going to burn in a special level of hell, a level they reserve for child molesters and people who talk at the theater."
I especially agree with the part with people talking movie theater. Fuck those people.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
You just want to take them out back and just.
Yeah.
Yes.
But to kind of like give a summary, so with War of the Dragons, to kind of start, kind of give some setup, the first book is called The Young Dragonlord. Let me find it real quick. Basically, the first book is about this young prince named Aemond, and he's been basically stuck in this one area, in this castle for about 3 years, since his since his dad led a failed rebellion against the kingdom. So he decided his dad and his siblings were killed, and only his mom is left alive. And he is just kind of stuck there as a hostage, as you do. And the king eventually receives a the king and his sons are pretty much ruling over the kingdom. Oh gosh.
Oh no.
Bob's gonna read this. He has the time.
Oh, I would honestly love to see Movie Bob have conniption fits over how unwoke my books are.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Honestly,
if he ever did a video on that, I would suggest we react to it. Just for the laughs.
Yeah, I would honestly like that too.
I would say he should do it that way. He can raise his cholesterol up to unhealthy levels, which it already is at.
Yeah,
Hey,
he was fired. So he was fired from the Escapist. Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Yeah.
So
took long enough.
But essentially, like and one of the things I kind of like about Aemond is like he's kind of just a young boy who kind of does things impulsively, and like kind of one of the things that he tried to do was he tried to figure out my mom was fried when he escaped.
Oh no.
Oh my
Who
god.
would want to eat that though?
Fired.
I wouldn't eat it, even if I'm already dead.
Yeah, I would not eat that. It's too much fat, too little anything else.
Substance.
There's no flavor.
Yeah.
There's no substance.
Yeah. But after that, kind of Aemond, he kind of looks around the castle and just finds a bunch of passages going through the castle that nobody has used in the hundreds of years. And he just kind of searches through it. And eventually he finds his way to the Crown Prince's wife's room. And the Crown Prince's wife hates her husband a lot. With very good reason. He's extremely abusive to her because he's gone through 3 wives already, and none of them have provided to none of them have provided no kids at all. And that is for a very good reason. He's been poisoned so that his sperm is unviable to create anything.
So he's basically shooting blanks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he's frustrated and angry and thinking that it's not me, especially since, and kind of like it goes back to another of the kids that is around is very weak and sickly because one of the I think like especially it's weird because his brother has his brother is a son, and it's his little brother, and he's angry he's not like that angry because his son is his brother's son is weak. He's physically incapable of like doing a lot of things, and it's not really a like he gets fits frequently, and that's because the enemies of the crown, we don't know who they I don't reveal who they are yet, but essentially like they poisoned his mom when she was pregnant so that she would abort so that the baby would get aborted, or so that they could basically weaken the line of succession.
Ah.
So instead of like directly poisoning the heirs, they just made it so that like they couldn't reproduce. And that's kind of just the way that they decide to make things happen. And eventually, like, one problem that happens is the prince's wife does get pregnant, but it's not him.
Obviously.
Nope.
Nope. It's Aemond. Yeah. So Aemond and the prince's wife have an illicit affair, and she gets pregnant, and then so they decide to take matters into their own hands and try to buy their way into the royal family by giving the royal family a dragon. And they figure out they have captured this dragon named Vhagar, and she is, as Drake puts it, the autistic dragon, because she just doesn't care about social cues or mores or whatever. She's like, you humans have weird hang-ups. Wow. This one dude had 7 daughters, got divorced, remarried, got 3 more daughters, ex-wife, now has a son with a new man. Ah, sexism and basic biology. Yeah, true.
How dare you follow the simple, basic rules of biology that only and that men and women are 2 separate genders and not the same.
I am super offended now. Oh my god!
Let's not bring up trans arguments. It's pointless.
No, let's not.
Let's not bring up trans things. It's not an issue. It's not pertinent. And then, but one of the things that I set up early on in the book is that Aemond has been kind of feeling this tug toward the east, and Vhagar has been feeling a tug toward the west, and kind of that's what actually brought her down south. Was like all that she said was in the first one is just like I think like she actually just said like, my mom didn't want me to come down south, but I decided I was going to, so there. Because like she wanted to be able to do something things. She wanted to be able to like just have her own life, so she did, and she ended up getting caught and then fed and then just being held hostage, where she got a taste of she just decided to she began to pick up human things and just say, you humans are strange, and even like our cuss words. So she has a foul mouth that kind of just makes she uses constantly for comedic effect because she likes shock humor.
You fucking got.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I guess like maybe it's just me who like I just don't care. She just like, you humans are weird, or at least like maybe it's like she's not like autistic, but she just like loves making people uncomfortable just for the sake of it because she can. she'll like say like, "You had the key the whole time." Yeah. And she just starts swearing at him. And I think it's one of my favorite bits of the book. Or like just saying like, "You boned, enough said." Dang, tough crowd, tough crowd.
Yeah, you tell better jokes.
Yeah.
Hashtag get better material, you.
Yeah. Humans are weird. um, humans are weird. I love
Well,
this.
they are weird.
I prefer humans be weird instead of normal, because otherwise, then I think life wasn't worth living if we were all the same.
Yeah, let me actually find, and like I think a big part of it that's really nice about this is the brother-sister relationship that forms between Aemond and Vhagar after he gets her out of her imprisonment, is that he basically just like becomes like her little brother, and she's like, "Oh, you're cute, dude," and there's just a real like close like bond, and she's like, I'm not going and she like I think like at one point they're with a group of orcs that are kind of hidden away from humans, because in this world there was kind of a like Dark Lord that had a bunch of orcs that was defeated, and then the orcs fled after the humans pursued a systematic genocide of the race.
Was that inspired by Tolkien a bit there?
A little bit, yeah. Where it's kind of just like there's even like a little myth that's actually a lie, where there's a supposed guy who went into the underworld and brought an army made up of all those who had suffered under the Dark King's rule back to fight him. And it's not accurate. It's very inaccurate to what actually happened. What happened in reality is revealed in the second book, but for now, it's kind of like how it is. That's we'll leave it like that until I get into the second book. But basically, like when Aemond flees from the capital, he's runs away and is unable to like get away in time for the king and his son, who Aemond is cuckolded, to not catch him. So when they escape, Aemond and Vhagar turn on their opponents and beat them in a fight. And that's kind of the end of the first act, I think, where there's just like a fight between a pair of wyverns and a dragon, where it's kind of like one of the dragons is just the dragon is basically the only one that can breathe fire. And if you want to read that, I have the reading on my channel somewhere in a writer showcase or in full. I'll have to edit it out. But let me actually find. Let me see. Where can I find something funny, kind of to illustrate Vhagar as a character? Let me see. I think at one point she's like, "You are not naming your kid after me. I don't care, I'm not getting named after a runt baby. I don't care if it's your runt baby."
Ouch.
And then like she's like, "Okay, fine. You can name her Megara. Just don't." Fine. And it's just really just like little fun bits like that that kind of just make her a like distinct character. Yeah, that's kind of, and then from there, he's trying to. Yeah, I did read the Runt Baby section. Yeah, I know there was kind of a point where she likes it. I know I read basically like their first interaction is essentially like, I think it was what was it? Let's see. I think it was like Eamon draws his sword. He says, "I'll get you out in a second." Then he slams his sword onto the chains, and it did bugger all to cut it. It's like, "Ow! Do you have a plan B?" she asked caustically, severely irritated by the delay. "Okay, I'll just have to use the keys." He pulled out a set of keys. The sudden asinine revelation stunned Vagar beyond all power of speech. "You had the damn keys the whole time," she growled at him. "Yeah, just in case," Eamon sounded sheepish. "I thought I'd be more dramatic if I were to strike off your chains with my sword." "You idiot!" Vagar unleashed every swear word she'd ever heard in her years of captivity on him. "Whoa, that's a bit harsh. Get me out now." Yeah. Hot crowd, hot crowd.
Yeah, you're not. You're trying to like Neph's laughing.
Well, of course I'm laughing. That's probably one of my favorite segments of the.
Yeah. There's kind of other stuff where it's just like Vagar's like making fun of Aemond for like his lady love and saying like, "Oh, like oh," and just teasing him constantly like a big sister would. It's just cute and adorable. But I think one thing that I really enjoyed a lot about writing this book was being able to like just write like a character whose humor like really suited mine, and I just was able to like bounce two characters off each other where one is like kind of awkward and uncomfortable in his own skin, whereas the dragon is more like completely comfortable in her own skin and just doesn't care what people think of her. And kind of like the thing that she likes about him is like one of the things she likes about him is that he's a good storyteller, and that's how kind of like he helps her to get to sleep at night, is just telling her stories that he knows. And then eventually like the bad guys come out of the shadows and decide, alrighty, well, time to take over the government. And they do. And so Aemond has to kind of go back to the castle to rescue his lady love before she gets killed. Since he's scared that something bad will happen to her. I think another one, but basically like before that happens, I think we get one of my favorite bits of the book where you get to see a dragon fight a Balrog.
Balrog?
Yeah, essentially, yes. A giant fire demon, aiming with vestigial wings. And it's just, I've always kind of wanted to see that, where a dragon fights a demon. And I'm just like, I want to write that, because that sounds awesome. So I did. And it was fun. It was very fun to write, I have to say. Yeah. It's kind of just that moment where I was just like, okay, this is real cool. Maybe I'll read that for Writer Showcase this week. But it's kind of the culmination of Vagar and Aemon's arc, where they're working together to beat this giant adversary. Who won? That's for Writer Showcase. I'll let you.
I'm looking forward to it now.
Yep. I'll let you guys know when you read it. But with this, it was kind of just like I very much was kind of discovery writing it. I knew there were some bits that I wanted to hit. Like I knew that I wanted to have a number of dragon fights in this book. One of them kind of started out with kind of basically the bad guys have discovered ways of controlling dragons, but there needs to be a weakness in the dragon in terms of they have to already be like have a rider before they can be controlled by other people. It's kind of a wild dragon is like untamable unless like they have the ability. They have like kind of like some dragons will kind of just feel the itch to go down south or wherever. And we see the third son of the king who died in the opening come back, and he's got 3 dragons of his own, and his 2 daughters are dragon riders.
Mm-hmm.
They've got three of the dragons will continue. One of the dragons will kind of be Vagar's rival for the rest of the books that she is in, until her death in War of the Dragons. After she's like this old dragon who's been through hundreds of fights during her lifetime of like probably like 700 years at this point. So she's old and had multiple riders. Many of them have died in combat and just like kind of there's kind of like one thing that I kind of like enjoyed about writing War of the First Dragonstrife was kind of just a moment where she just says like I wrote something original for it. I read it earlier. It's basically this book where this I think what was it? It was kind of this quick like animate thing where it's almost like these human animal hybrid creatures are like living in this world devoid of humans. I haven't fully developed the story of what I want to do with it. I just know that the dragon, it's a dragon human person. So as the main character is the thing that I wanted to go with this one. I think one thing that I did do was with this one was I kind of set it up kind of initially that it was I kind of changed the ending. I originally thought that this one guy was going to be the bad guy and that it would be kind of Aemond versus this guy, but then I realized no, honestly, he's not a bad guy necessarily. Yes, I did. I think it was a couple Saturdays ago. I believe I already submitted it. I'll have to check. It's closed, but I believe that I submitted it. At least I hope I did. But I got it to the point that I wanted it to. Since like I could only write like 1,500 words about it, which was just like it's short. Since usually I like writing stuff that's like at least like 10 to 20,000 words. That's my usual range of what I like doing. But that's how it went. And I feel like it was pretty streamlined, and I was able to do some good stuff with it. But with Young Dragonlord, the ending, I was originally going to have Aemond and Arathane fight on their dragons, with Simon, his friend, coming in to help him out. Then I realized, no, I don't like that. I really don't like that idea. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna think of another ending. So I so I was kind of racking my brains. Then I realized, oh, okay, I can have these people that have been kind of working on poisoning the line. And originally, like, Aemond wasn't really like like didn't have any motivation to like find a place to stay other than just hide. So actually his love interest came in like halfway through the book, and I just kind of like retroactively changed the book so that she was in it more, and kind of like she was his motivation for doing stuff. Because I just kind of like saw, okay, and part of it was like kind of how sometimes I notice things was I was writing it, and her and her sister-in-law flee from the castle on a wyvern, and they manage to get out, and they eventually run into Aemond as he's flying back, because he sees that there's some bad things happening in the capital, and she decides to trust him. And I realized, wait, he killed her husband. Why would she trust him? And I just like started racking my brain. Okay, how can I shift this so that it works as opposed to just pragmatism? So I decided, oh, why not make them lovers and make it so that, oh, she's pregnant. Okay, she's pregnant with his kid. Okay, that makes sense now. And that kind of just is how the book turned out, in terms of just a like kind of fixing that little problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and then kind of just after that, we have Aemond going up again into, I think, like 2 dragon fights total over the course of the book, and 1 wyvern fight at the beginning, and kind of like slowly escalating until finally we have a fight between him, the bad guy, who I won't reveal for kind of just the sake of spoilers, Thanatos and Vhagar. And basically for the rest of the books, Vhagar and Thanatos are going to have a clash in each of the books, since they're basically just kind of going to be like, they're kind of just bonded in terms of the fact that they are rivals for like just the rest of with the release of your new book, do you have a new favorite book that you wrote, or has it not changed? I think that my favorite book that I have written is still Prince of Winter. I'm kind of proud of like just the fact that it was a book that I was able to write a really complex and interesting main character with it that wasn't just a straightforward good guy, straightforward bad guy. And I liked being able to kind of have that in the book, so that kind of you can see like where he's coming from, but there's also the element of kind of what he's doing is not good. Like what he's doing is really bad, but he still is willing to do them for the sake of protecting his family. I think that's kind of the the favorite of mine. I do like War of the Dragons. It's got some of my best action in it, especially where I have 3 different dragon fights in it, and I was able to make them different and distinct from each other so that I didn't have to just wasn't doing the same thing over and over again. And that was kind of just what I was able to do with that one. With the Blood of the Dragon, which is book 2, what I wanted to do with this one was I actually kind of shifted quite a bit in what I decided to do. Originally, I was kind of going to be the kind of more of a King Arthur type story, where Aemond is he's serving the new queen as her right hand. Since I kind of didn't want to have, I want to kind of like shift it so that he's not a ruler. He's not the king. He is the man who supports the king or queen in their actions. And he's happily married with 2 kids. And part of like the end symmetry that kind of starts a tradition is whenever a kid is born, the parent they feel that one of their parents, usually their dad or their mom, if they wait. It's almost like their baptism is taking them up into the air for the first time on a dragon. That's kind of their almost their baptism, and it's usually like their dad or grandpa that does it. Since the mom is usually incapacitated, or even like the grandma can do that as well. And that's kind of just the how it like that's kind of that a special moment, and it starts with Aemond taking his son at the end of the first book, his second-born child, into the air on Vhagar, and she kind of smells that she'll have a future connection with this young boy, this young child, and that comes to fruition in the second book. How, I will not say, but
Aunt Vhagar.
What?
Aunt Vhagar.
Kind of, yeah. She very much is his aunt, because like, yeah. And that's kind of just whenever a child is born, they'll take, and sometimes at least a couple of times throughout the series, the dragon rider sons will, like, at least a couple times, they will sometimes be born as another dragon rider dies, and that dragon will bond with that child and be compelled to find that child and basically be their big sibling for the rest of the dragon rider's life, since the dragon rider is going to die long before the dragon. That's just how it's going to be. And Yokai, you might want to turn off your camera, since I don't know if you want to show your face.
Oh, we got Yokai. Awesome.
Yay!
Well, he kind of left.
Then Yokai came and
bring him on. I didn't bring him on because I was like, you probably don't want to show us your face, since like he just kind of left it open. So I know now what Yokai looks like, and it's just like, Yokai, you probably only want to close off the camera.
Yeah.
But essentially, that's kind of, and then after that, Aemond actually takes up his grandchildren into the air because his son is not a dragon rider, and that's kind of something that you still want to turn off your camera. Unless you're okay with me Unless you're okay with me showing your face, which I don't imagine you are.
You talk to him.
Oh, the canvas and temperature. Okay, cool. Hi, okay.
Hey, you
okay.
guys see me okay?
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah,
Oh,
this is an
nice.
equipment test. I actually uploaded my first recording about a minute ago, even though I didn't want to. I just kind of made myself do it. Yeah. Everything's still a little messed up, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So, carry on.
Oh, nice.
Hey, okay.
How's it going?
Not much
Maybe we
about
should
you.
all reveal our face. Maybe we should all reveal our faces just for the sake of it.
Nah,
No.
No.
I don't
prefer
have
that-
much.
I prefer to be some animosity.
I've seen what Neph and Dunn look like.
Yeah.
My face
There
is
was
still healing.
There was a secret backstage little web chat going on one time. I was the only one that didn't have a cam, so I got off easy. So I guess this is my penance.
You're a solid guy. I like you. Yeah. But then, like, after kind of during the Blood of the Dragon, I decided it was originally going to be like a group of dragon riders, kind of like almost like a Knights of the Round Table type situation. Then I decided, no, that wouldn't work. It's too soon. Because it's only been a few decades, and I kind of didn't want it to the dragons to spread that fast. Dragon riding to spread that fast. There's still a bunch of dragons that kind of live in the wild, up in kind of around a different area of the world. But essentially, they are like staying in kind of this volcanic area. But it's instead of a dragon riding like Camelot type situation where it's like almost like a Dragon Riders of the Round Table, where the original idea was for me to have the country break. Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Really? Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. No, that's an interesting take. Honestly, like, my face is on my books, so I don't care.
I don't see that revealing your face makes it for you to be killed by. That's just me.
Johan, this is my bedroom.
Oh, nice.
And Drake, we know what you look like.
Everyone, yeah, I know what you also look
like. I know what Drake looks like. I've seen him. At least like because he forgot to turn on his camera one time. But anyway, with this, I kind of shifted it to originally it was kind of going to be this one dragon rider comes down south from the north from the kingdom that Aemond has conquered in the name of the Empire to kind of like bring stability to it. But then I decided, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. So I decided to shift it to Megara goes south to kind of under pretexts that turn out to be false, because this ancient eldritch dragon goddess is trying to make it so that Aemon's blood gets on the throne, because she thinks that because she believes, and kind of rightly so, that she made a deal with the guy who was an ancestor of Aemond and the kings of Numenor, that if she gave them help during a battle and gave them her undead warriors, that she would be able to have her son and his son become king. And the stepmother did what stepmothers do and just shunted the kid aside and put him into a like a small podunk kingdom to rule, and that's kind of where they've been stuck ever since. So there's kind of that element of like extreme bitterness on her part for essentially like she wasn't able to get what she wanted, and then she was sealed away beyond a magical door that kept her from coming into this world. And kind of like she got this dark reputation as a creature called the Pale Mother, where anytime there was a stillbirth, she would collect the child and take it away. And it's really creepy. Yes, it was very much inspired by that. Though it's more like kind of like Gondor type area, where it's like this large land-based empire. There was no like Atlantis type empire that broke apart and was sunk by God in this story. There are elves that come from their own land that come over with Erathane and his dragons to kind of help to stabilize the kingdom and stabilize his military control over the kingdom. But he doesn't. Well, the elves eventually become the bad guys of the series in book 4, where they're kind of like, we're the elder race, we should have dominance over the humans. This is BS. And that's kind of their attitude. And eventually kind of joining with the dwarves and using the dwarves' money and gold to finance like a lot of rebellions in the human lands so that they can destabilize the humans. Sneaky Tolkien. Yeah, sneaky Tolkien references. Yeah, they are hot. And eventually and another thing that kind of pisses off the elves is that one of their people used to be a half-elf, used to be on the throne, but then when she died and her daughter took the throne and she died, Aemon's daughter Megara takes the throne at the end of book 2. And that's something that they are very bitter about. They're willing to kind of live with it because the heir apparent says she's too young and kind of departs, but eventually they split off and become their own kingdom in the First Dragonstrife. And that's kind of the basically what happens with that story. With the elves, and then eventually when the elves kind of got shunted to the woods, they start like getting really bitter and want to kind of strike back against the humans. And that's kind of the gist. And Blood of the Dragon basically is a book of the kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's a young person kind of going off and trying to figure out a way to kind of get out from under their dad's shadow so that they can become their own person, is very much the gist of the story. And she does, by basically becoming this world's equivalent of Alexander the Great and conquering 3 large kingdoms. One of them was kind of like my rewrite of Wakanda, because I hate the Black Panther's world building. I think that Black Panther's world building is asinine.
You call that world? It has world building?
Mm-hmm. It has a crappy attempt at world building, but
I've never seen Black Panther.
Oh, it's horrible.
No, I must watch it.
I don't think it's. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think it's horrible per se.
Oh yeah, in comparison to the what was it that Drake showed us? That Avengers animated series.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
What?
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah, that's right. Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Definitely, if you can take something as good as Earth's Mightiest Heroes and turn it into that, that's bad. Maybe if they had nothing, it was okay. But no, they had something like that. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. I think what I decided to do with Wakanda is my version. I named it Parthia, kind of after an actual real life kingdom in our world, and basically made it so that this one kingdom, like they're basically built on slave labor, and they are they basically will. Kind of one of the things that I decided to use was kind of an idea where they're able to forge this magic metal, but they have to kill somebody in order to make it to temper the metal.
You're pulling that from Song of Ice and Fire, aren't you?
That one, it's unconfirmed whether or not it is. That's the actual recipe for Valyrian steel. That's the major hint that that's kind of how Valyrian steel is made. But I thought, oh, okay, that's actually a neat idea where it kind of puts a price on this weapon, where they basically just kill slaves that work the mines of this one area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this one place on the planet that provides this metal, and if you don't shove it in, temper it with blood, like basically you just cut somebody's throat and they spray the blood over the sword in order to cool it, it's not going to do. It's going to be brittle. So, but they kind of use it almost like they have basically Black Panther style suits of armor, but instead of just having like it be skin tight, it actually looks like armor. More than like just a slim down cat suit, and they give it to most of their troops, but especially to their upper class. Yeah, and it's more kind of based more in Egyptian mythology, where each of the heads of the noble houses claim descent from each of the gods of the pantheon, with the Black Lion is the major god, or the Black Lioness is kind of the symbol of nobility and royalty in that particular world. So, and kind of they want to take a specific section of the empire, and then Magar goes south to try and prevent that from happening. And she manages to basically I ripped off the Battle of Kadesh from Egyptian history, where it's a victory in which originally in the historical account, the Hittites lured Pharaoh Ramsey into an attack so that they could ambush him with his chariots by taking advantage of the Egyptian military system, which was basically they divided up into 4 corps and basically marched along the Nile separately, so that when the Hittites sent their chariots, they were able to hit the disorganized, overly eager Egyptians, because the Egyptians had gotten false intelligence from the Hittites, who had planted a bunch of peasants around so that they could be able to say, hey, they haven't reached the city, it's free to be taken. And they basically decided to go in a mad rush because Ramesses is kind of an idiot in the historical record and just in general. So what he did was he ended up winning by the fact that the Egyptian chariots were able to come out of nowhere and win the day for him. The problem is he had lost so many of his men that it was a Pyrrhic victory. It ended up being an inconclusive. He would eventually like kind of make peace, and there would kind of be trade routes established. But the main thing that stopped it from being a complete victory for the Hittites was that they didn't send in his infantry to hit them. Since when they went in, they only committed chariots. They didn't commit their infantry. So what I did was I said, okay, I am going to try and basically do the same thing where Megara deliberately has them send out word that she has not arrived yet in the main city. And so that the enemy will be like, okay, let's take half of the army and rush at them just to kind of cover it so that we'll have a base of operations for the rest of the campaign. So after that, what she decides to do, and then once that is done, she has her army dig a trench around the city and fill it with spikes, and then cover it with tarp and stuff, so that when the enemy runs in, she'll basically, in a wide range, she'll have her elven cavalry charge forward just as far as the spikes, and then stop and just circle around and just start shooting at them as they kind of are smashed into the spiked moat, instead of like hitting them. And then once that's done, her stepson and his dragon and her own dragon Thanatos come down and force the enemy to surrender, and also hit the enemy with her heavy orc and human cavalry on the sides and her infantry, to kind of just like clinch the game and level the coup de grace. And she does end up beating the crown prince's champion, the prince, the brother of the king, in single combat, allowing her to kind of negotiate a peace with them in exchange for her helping them to get some land in another kingdom that will eventually create problems later down the line, because this one kingdom doesn't like having orcs and Parthians being rulers over them. They really don't like that. Or at least they don't like having large sections of the population be made up of part of what they would call outsiders. And so that's kind of the major problem that arises later in the series, where there's like constant rebellions and wars in Sotharis because they can't how do I say it? They can't work well with each other, especially since like Megara destroys large sections of their country and their military and gives it large chunks of it over to Parthia. So kind of creating like the idea that it's not perfect, and there's a lot of like problems that come from colonialization, even if you're giving the colonializing to another kingdom. So kind of just creates a lot of problems later on. And even in the Dragonstrife, Aborn is able to take advantage of the feelings of animosity in Sotharis to spark a war in Parthia and in Sotharis to distract one of the major key players in the Dragon Riders so that he doesn't bring Thanatos at them, which would be bad. because Thanatos is kind of is the second biggest dragon. The only one that's like even remotely as big as Thanatos is Vagar, and they have Vagar, and they want to kind of solidify their advantage over the enemy. Any questions?
None for me.
No, not really.
Is this boring? I hope it's not boring.
No, it's not boring.
It's not boring, but it's like you're not really provoking me to ask any questions that I don't feel as if you already answered.
Yeah, it feels as if any question we bring up, you've probably already answered.
Well, that works.
Actually, I do have one. I finally noticed that her name is Megara. Does that come from anywhere specific? Because Megara is supposed to be the love interest of Disney's Hercules.
Yes, actually. That is actually where it came from.
Ah, okay.
Basically, what I wanted to do with kind of a lot of the names of at least the dragons is kind of evoke Greek mythology. Like Thanatos is the like actual god of death. Hades is just the god of the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
And I also named one of the dragons Aphrodite. I named another one, and named another one. What was it? Deianira. She shows up in book 5, I believe. There's a dragon named Circe. After the what's her face? Okay. The witch in Greek mythology. Since I was just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. So, and I just kind of like created that as kind of like in the end, like the and I think also like Catastros, even though that one's actually a Power Rangers reference because there's a black horse named Catastros in Power Rangers Mystic Force, and I'm just like,
well,
that is awesome.
It's both.
Yeah.
In that case.
Yeah. Since it's not Greek, and then I took a few names from A Song of Ice and Fire, like Meles and Caraxes, which is kind of similar to Charybdis in a lot of ways, which is kind of weird because Caraxes is a red dragon and Charybdis is a giant whirlpool. I might need to name a dragon Charybdis. That would be a neat.
It should be a multi-head. It should be like it should just be a water dragon. I think, yeah,
I do have hydras in.
There should be a zombie dragon. Yeah.
Oh, really? Catastros is a constellation. I did not know that. All right, I'm safe. Yeah.
On topic of Greek myth, I'm thinking of watching that Blood of Zeus, but I just know it's gonna turn out well.
If you're gonna watch something like that, Wolf, watch the Journeys of Hercules and Xena.
Yeah. Don't think about it. I mean, I got a couple of sites I can refer to find it.
I know exactly where to find it, and I have it open.
F movies.
If you want it, I will give it to you.
Sure. Give it to me.
Okay.
I think you should specify what exactly you want on her to give you, because otherwise it could be misconstrued.
I want it to be misconstrued.
Very funny.
Yeah, I'm a dick.
You're done. You're done. Yeah, you're done, right, dick.
Yeah. Yeah. but that's kind of like the main thing of Blood of the Dragon is kind of like how do you when kind of like I guess like exploring kind of the character of what Alexander the Great would have is
I was wondering who was going to make the jump first.
I'll admit I was tempted.
I wasn't paying attention. What did I miss?
Oh gosh. At some point, maybe like once we figure out some more topics, streams, since this week has kind of been like a light week. I know we're going to have another stream later this week where me, Blue, and Crow talk about the next couple of Wheel of Time books. But that's gonna be not for a while, I think. We'll see.
I feel like
what?
I was gonna say sometimes on another channel we like to make response videos to morons on the internet.
Oh, we've done a few of those.
Yeah, and some of them were garbage, some of them were horrible, and some of them made me want to die.
It's always
yeah.
fun.
Honestly, like School of Movies is worse than anything Anomaly Inc. has covered.
It's
They're
I'm
already-
already trying to revenge it. I'm already dreading. I'm
Very
already dreading.
doable, both of them.
I'm already dreading the prequels one. That one will kill me.
Anne McCaffrey, she is Dragon Riders of Pern, right?
I've read her first one, and her first one's pretty good, but it gets very, very samey.
I got like, so the audiobook's only 8 hours long, and I got like 2 hour, I think like 3 hours into it. And maybe it's the reader, maybe it's the prose, but I just like couldn't really get into it. So I just kind of, School of Spirits. Not least to which because it was like a what was it, like 2.5 hours of fellatioing the dragon, fellatioing the Last Jedi, like,
And then the first 10 minutes was a rant of I think it was
CinemaSins. Yeah, it was kind of nuts.
Yeah,
it was like
I can't believe I used to think his content was good. I was a dematism back then.
School of Movies?
No, CinemaSins.
Yeah.
CinemaSins is funny the first time you watch him, and then it just gets.
Then you just realize he just recycles the same jokes over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We're begging for the return of framing monsters.
No.
Yes.
What?
Yes, they were.
Framing monsters, a horrible book. Save yourself from the misery and suffering and pain and other than just on it.
It's still better than School of Movies.
Right. I did say I did create that petition. Every single person here signed it.
Yeah.
Old school, not age well. That I would actually concur with that. I can see where a lot of people got their ideas. Like when I was reading, I can't even remember her name, the female like future Weird woman, and she's like this like princess, but she's kind of ruined her own land. I think kind of the thing about it is I listen to it and I'm just like, I see elements of Vin Venture from Mistborn in here, but Vin Venture's kind of just a better developed character, and Brandon Sanderson really goes into a lot of depth with her as a character. So I just kind of just couldn't really get into it. I much prefer the Lycanius trilogy to Anne McCaffrey's stuff. I honestly, even though it's technically not as good, I'd rather listen slash read Aragon than the
I've only saw that terrible movie. I never actually read the books.
I read, I think, the first 2 books, and then I never got around to the third one. But yeah, I'm with you, Dunn. I would rather read the Aragon books than Anne McCaffrey.
Yeah, I think a part, even though it's basically Star Wars and Dragon Rider drag, kind of like how Willow is Star Wars and Wizards drag.
Yeah.
But yeah, School of Movie was bad, and we might cover them in a couple weeks.
Oh no!
What? It can't be that bad. We're just covering their we need to talk about fandom video.
To use our own words against you, it gets worse.
It gets better.
It gets better.
Fucking better.
Yeah.
Fandom. Oh, that's like the best way to destroy yourself.
No.
Yeah. School of Movies. I think they're honestly worse than Cosmonaut.
Oh, you said you covered that Game of Thrones season 8 video, didn't you?
Yeah, from Yezan IRL, who is a pathetic.
Oh no, it was from Turf Nation. This one.
Oh no, I haven't covered.
Oh my god, you covered that on.
He says that the Star Wars fandom is comparable to the Nazis.
Oh my god, what? How the?
Oh, insulting.
I wish I was kidding.
How do you even respond to that? I have no words.
Yeah, I have no words either.
Okay. All right, everyone. I have Will's right here.
Oh my god, Pikmin.
Yeah. But that's kind of the but then getting back on topic, at least for that's kind of the gist. Yes. And then the of Blood of the Dragon, and then that kind of leads into the Dragonstrife novella, which kind of I kind of took at least some of the idea from the Kinstrife, which is kind of Tolkien's War of the Roses, where one person was believed to be of inferior blood, and so the people wanted somebody else who was of purer blood to become king. So I took the idea of that and called it the Dragonstrife, and basically made it so that this this group that feel like they want to be kings of their own kingdom, they don't want to take over the realm. They say, no, we don't have enough troops for that. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to take what is ours, and we're just going to create a separate kingdom so that later down the line we can take over, and or at least but their kind of position at the moment is we just want to rule ourselves. We just want to be able to be kings of our own thing, since we're Aemon's blood as well. So why shouldn't we rule ourselves as well? Yeah. That's kind of their perspective. And so a war breaks out that's very brief. But then what ends up happening is they aren't able to kind of have a full stalemate. What happens is they kind of just have a Pyrrhic victory over the enemy, and make it so that they have it, but they have to make reparations for a few things. rather than being completely dominant over the enemy.
All right.
And then that leads into War of the Dragons. And basically, like, I already read a lot of the First Dragonstrife on stream a few weeks ago. It's like 40-minute. I think we read for like 41 minutes, about, give or take. It was really good. It's basically like an audio drama where each of us was reading a different section of the chapter. But basically, the what ends up happening is two of the dragons that had played a role in the last two books die, leaving kind of the other side very drastically weakened in terms of their abilities to wage war using dragons, because they've lost two of their biggest ones, and the enemy still has 4 dragons against them, but they don't have the troops necessary to kind of conquer the enemy area. So it just ends in a stalemate. And then after that kind of sets up for War of the Dragons, where it's 2 separate kingdoms, and they are attempting to go up against each other on a shadow war because they don't want another dragon strife. And if there is like dragon fighting, they try to keep it to the point where like not keep it at not like only rarely send dragons against dragons, because they don't want to, and they're trying to steal dragon eggs from each other, or like cause small scale rebellions inside of the other kingdom, so that they can kind of destabilize each other before they go to war. And it kind of starts off with the death of the queen of, she died in childbirth, and she was able to foresee the future, so she knew she was going to die, and she kind of had this prediction that her son would find one of the most destructive dragons that would ever walk the face of the earth. And for a while, his son thought that it would be his mother's dragon Thanatos. But then when Thanatos was claimed by his little sister, he was like, okay, I guess that was incorrect. So what he does is he starts hearing some rumors about this black dragon that's in the north that doesn't have a rider. So he goes off to find it. And he ends up finding that dragon and claiming it for his own. But it's like half the size of Vhagar. So he's still he's not as big as the original model, for lack of a better word. He does eventually grow to be to Vhagar's size, but that's not for a long time. It takes a while for him to get that big. It takes him a few years to get that large. And one thing that I did build into the series, that a dragon that has a rider will grow larger, grow faster than if they don't have a rider. It's one of the advantages that they have.
Cool.
So once he bonds with his rider, Darian, Catastrophe within 16 years is the size of Vhagar.
Wow.
And he's, for a long time, they actually do fight, but because of Vhagar's size, he's not able to take her down. And her rider work together really well to actually actually severely wound Darian during the fight, where he like she slashes him across the face with Aemon's sword, Darkfire, and then like right up his back, so that he's like unable to like he's like in a lot of pain for years after that. It takes a while for him to get back into shape. But there's kind of a like kind of he's kind of still kind of wanting to, he wants very much to prove himself and be worthy of his family's legacy, because he views himself as like something that like he's kind of feels like slightly unworthy and wants to be able to prove himself. And he does manage to prove himself sort of, because him and his dragon hold off Vagar from attacking a city, but he kind of loses pretty badly and like has to get back to the city, because the way that they win is by using ballistas with chains to try and draw Vagar down rather than dragon on dragon fighting. And from that point, Catastros is scared of Vagar because he like knew that he couldn't beat her. And another issue that comes up is he never gets the chance to face her again.
He doesn't?
Nope. He's not Vagar's rival. That's Thanatos.
Ah, that makes sense then.
Yep. So when it happens, Vagar and Thanatos, they have 3 clashes in this book, kind of going off of the rule of 3 type thing, where first one is kind of a battle in which Vagar has killed a lot of Thanatos' family in battle. She's killed his son's mate, his son, and his daughter, his son, and her, and 2 of his no, it was Meraxia who killed Kyura, so that doesn't quite work. But it's a personal fight between them. And then in book 3, the final straw is she kills Thanatos' mate. So it's kind of, she's killed 4 of Thanatos' close family at this point. So her and him have a personal like grudge by this point.
Well, that certainly makes sense.
Yep.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
He's making sense. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have satisfying payoffs.
Wow, I can't believe it. Satisfying payoffs?
Oh.
That's a freaking rip. I never
That
heard
was
of this.
that was so such a like a decade ago. Get with the time.
Yeah, you had to make you had to build up stuff, and then have the viewer feel angry that you didn't go through with it.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, how else can you call yourself a writer?
Yeah, I guess so. But kind of the thing that I did was I decided to use kind of that as a way to characterize Catastros, because one of the things that they don't know that Vagar has died, because they flee. Basically, what happens is they lose really badly in a battle where they're in this city, and the city lady decides to turn cloaks over to the bad guys. Well, they're not really bad. It's more like a gray conflict between these 2 sides, and they're kind of good characters on both sides, where like one side is kind of has this loving family together, and they care about each other, and they want to be able to like have a good life with them and their family, and so they're pursuing this war of conquest. And because of that, you have this kind of dichotomy between this two family, where one's kind of an established family with like a husband, his two wives, and their children, and versus kind of a younger family where it's just the two kind of almost teenager young adult kids who are kind of against this kind of more established and more experienced foe. And I think there's kind of one point where they actually go to a play that was sponsored by agents of the enemy. Let me actually find that. I think that's great because like it's meant to kind of make Vagar and the rest look bad. And that pisses her off. Let me find that. That's actually really funny. That would actually be a good one. And it works because like this is the one of the book that I just barely released. Let me roll it up. Right there. Let me find it. It's in plays somewhere. Where? And basically the bad guy's an albino who
no.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me find it. Okay. So I'll just read it out. The playhouse in the center of the city was draped with several copies of the king's banner, a mountain with a crown around the base. Long lengths of cloth hung from the top of the wall to show that they were who they were honoring fluttered in the wind as Odin and his family entered the large stadium. He had glamored himself to appear as a version of himself without his albinism, an illusory eye covering his empty socket. So what is this play? He asked. Sharia shrugged, making a face as she rocked Balon in her arms. I have no idea, she admitted. This particular show just arrived here, and though they've been cagey about what they're going to present, your spies are not being able to ferret out information. Odin smiled and kissed her temple. I'm amazed. I don't put my whisperers to work on such menial tasks, she remarked. That's what Aria is for. It's good practice. Did you find anything? Odin asked his middle daughter. The girl wrinkled her nose. They speak a weird made-up language when they're rehearsing, she remarked. I made sure to check their words with Mom to see that it was just something I didn't know. It was all gibberish, utterly incomprehensible. Sharia rolled her eyes. Well, it should be interesting at the very least. Odin shrugged, wrapping an arm around Rachel, who seemed less than eager to attend. Based on her reaction, Alis also seemed to notice her daughter's reaction. You all right? She asked. I hate sitting, Rachel muttered, folding her arms. I need to be doing something. It's all right, Odin smiled, stroking her hair. I'll spar with you this evening to make up for it. Rachel smiled and nestled up to him. I'd like that. They quickly took their seats in the middle section of the top gallery of the stadium, along with a few other members of the nobility. Soon enough, the band at the front of the stage began to play the fanfare. As soon as they began to play, Odin grimaced at the horrible off-key noises coming from the instruments. Sharia blanched and covered her ears. Oh, gods, that sounds awful. Agreed. Odin's grimace deepened as a man stepped onto the stage and began declaiming over the terrible music. The man was clearly not used to saying his lines in plain speak. His intonation was awful, his emoting was bad, and he seemed to be throwing himself across the stage wildly in order to distract from his disgraceful acting. Maybe it will get better, Aria suggested. She didn't, but she sounded skeptical. It didn't. Everything in the play was bad. The band playing, the acting, the costume, the transitions between scenes. Not only that, it was horrifically offensive. It turned out they were reenacting the life of Prince Aemon Darkfire in a rather farcical fashion. Sharia bared her teeth in a snarl as the players began portraying Aemon and Lush as a seedy relationship where Lila seduced the wide-eyed young prince rather than it being a mutual decision based on both love and practicality. Ayla's fist clenched as the players portrayed Vagar as a stupid beast that Aemon convinced to come with him by feeding her drugged meat. The horrible cloth monstrosity they constructed was hideous in the extreme, with misshapen teeth and pathetically small wings. Why are we subjecting ourselves to this? Oh,
I
so
ask
sorry.
myself that question every time we read something awful or cover something awful. Why are we subjecting ourselves to this?
TLJ is the best movie ever.
Entertainment
Why are we
value,
subjecting
darling.
ourselves to this?
Yeah. I'm so sorry I suggested this. Ayla buried her head in her hands, groaning. Face expressionless.
I'm
Rachel
so sorry
stood up
I
and made a very
suggested this
rude gesture.
Done buried in his hands, groaning.
What the heck, Yoka? What was that?
Sharia nodded in approval and kept growling imprecations as her distant ancestor was mocked. Ayla kept deathly silent, her hand stroking the hilt of her sword as if she wanted to use it on everyone on stage. This is the most horrible play I've ever seen, Sharia muttered. Who did this? Is this meant to be the South's insult to us? Perhaps, Odin remarked. Abruptly, the sounds of powerful wing beats sounded above them. Inwardly, Odin grinned as Vagar landed outside the playhouse, roaring into the midst of it. Say that to my face, you filthy dung-eating bastards!
They're in trouble.
Causing all the players to scramble for cover. Before anyone could move, Vagar reached down with her wing claws and crushed the facsimile of her on stage just after the people inside it ebbed out. That did it. A man stood out and hurled a rotten cabbage at the one playing Aemon. The man splattered across the man's face, leaving a smear down its mouth. A veritable volley of spoiled tomatoes were flung toward the actors on stage with certified fury. Rachel stood up and cheered, as did Aria.
Vagar's just mad that she played it go the way she wanted, said Drake the duelist at.
Yes. Arling, Vagar threw back her head and released a torrent of fire.
Well,
There.
Vagar has every reason to be angry. They are portraying her as a simple beast, and she's not. She's an elegant dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. The players fled behind the curtain, which only served to make the band members the target of the crowd's aggression. Yeah, Rachel shouted, applauding wildly. Kick their asses! The band fled, rotten fruit juice splattered across their faces and clothes. Sharia allowed herself a grim smile. Good riddance to trash, she remarked. Odin nodded slowly. Come on, let's get out of here. Vagar was snarling under her breath as they came out of the play arena. I've never been so damn insulted, she bared her teeth. I should eat all of them for their impudence. You'll have your fill, old girl. Ayla patted her dragon on the head. Maybe. Vagar glanced toward the players rushing out of the show. They wouldn't taste as sweet, though. She licked her lips suggestively.
No, Vagar, don't do that. You'll get indigestion.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Trust me. I once ate something bad and it gave me 3, and I was something confused, and it gave me 3 weeks worth of 8 for indigestion.
Aria piped up. Maybe she could scare them a bit more, she suggested. Chase them around the town. Aria! Ayla exclaimed. That's brilliant! That was enough for Vagar. Rumbling with glee, the enormous black dragon roared and rose into the air, heading straight toward the players. Odin couldn't help but chuckle as the poor fools ran away from the dragon.
More entertaining than the play.
They got well paid. They got well paid for their espionage. Yeah. They didn't think. I don't think they. I think I definitely was channeling. Say it to my face, you lip noodle.
I don't think the writer of the play thought that through.
No. They
I was
did.
gonna say, I got a perfect idea for just a joke story to read. It's just all of us are sitting at a theater and watching like a horrible adaptation.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. It's like, yeah, it's kind of just like that's kind of just a moment of levity. It's kind of a moment of levity before like a lot of the kind of Vagar being Vagar, because I noticed like as I was reading the book, I was kind of focusing on a lot of the other characters, and Vagar was kind of like not able to really shine because she's kind of the bad guy at this point, or at least like she's aligned with the people that are ostensibly the antagonists. Very Shades of Grey type scenario. Not 50 Shades of Grey. There aren't that many shades.
No. But that doesn't stop us from loving Vagar any less.
Yeah. The funny is being quote unquote merciful by the standards of historical royals, responding to those mocking them. Kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's being downright merciful.
Yeah. She didn't eat them. Yeah.
I am a dragon. Your argument is invalid.
I have fangs. Yes, therefore your right to not be prey is revoked.
Yeah, she's also roughly the size of a 747.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge. That's
I'd be afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a big girl. She's really old by this point.
I would ask how old she is, but I have a feeling she may take that the wrong way.
Oh, she enjoys bragging about any way that she's superior over people. And she's like, you humans have short lifespans.
Okay, then tell me what was the only last thing you ate? 3 cows and a chicken.
Yeah, she's about like, I think she's roughly around like 700 or 800 years old by this point.
Wow.
She's seen a lot of history. A lot of it has been war.
In my last 700 years, I saw nothing but war.
The Karens of space return in the form of Warhammer orcs. Yeah.
I would not stop her from eating the writer of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that guy deserves to be eaten. Or girl, or who knows. Because they got everything wrong.
The penalty for your abortion is death.
Yeah. I just thought like it would be funnier if she just like chases him around. And it's kind of just like, you are saying that to my face, you dung-eating scumbags?
Yep.
I think that was kind of like my favorite line. That was kind of just like I noticed, like, I need to put in a bit of Vagar just being Vagar because it's not a fun for back for a little bit. Yeah. Since she wasn't really in the book, other than at least like none of her dialogue, she fights a lot throughout the book. And it's kind of like she's kind of tired of like life a little bit, and she's not like as like aggressive as she used to be, and there's kind of a lot of this spark. The demons of hell are flexing against their chains up above me.
Wait, are you saying this as a main character book, or as actually in real life you have demons of hell upstairs?
Take care, Blue. You have a good day.
Take care, Blue.
Yeah.
Don't
that's kind of the summary of the Dragonlord Annals and the Rise of the Dark Queen series, or the Dark Queen series. I'll have to I think I'll probably like just quickly go over the standalones and go over the Perion Chronicles another time, since that's its own like topic in and of itself. Because that was long, and I had a lot of changes, and I can go into a lot about my creative process with that one. We'll probably do that. Maybe we'll do that Tuesday, and kind of I can chat about like how I kind of formulated the series and how I like ended up outlining it. But kind of first off, like Prince of Winter was actually like an idea that I started on my own.
That's
what?
mine.
What?
Oh, nothing. Sorry.
The book that I originally kind of just started writing this book along with a friend of mine. We kind of just talked about it and kind of just talked about it and talked about it. The initial idea was to have kind of this, at least like a guy who is a side character who has like, it's kind of like a hive mind brain in multiple bodies that ended up not going into the final draft. Unfortunately, I actually started this when I was 16 and then restarted it up when I was I think like last year, and then I just kept on writing and writing and writing it, and eventually like I decided like I wrote it, and I probably talked about this before, but I'll reiterate it, where I originally kind of it was one thing and then I changed it to be another thing, where originally there was this person that killed the king and that led to the kingdom fracturing. Instead, I decided, no, it was just the king died and then under of what seemed to be an infection, really wasn't, but I'll let the viewers find out by reading it what happened. But the guy in the north, Richard Fenris, said, let's split the kingdom in two, and then we'll figure out a way to recombine it later via what is it? Via marriage. So it's a dynastic inheritance rather than an elected monarchy, where once the old king dies, a new king is elected from the four kingdoms. So rather than like an oligarchy, it's an inherited monarchy, which that's what he wants. He's like, I really don't like this system.
Yeah.
It's unstable. Yeah. The shots are fired, yes.
You just have to say it.
Wait, Stephen King just died?
Wait,
No.
What? No, don't let this be true. Don't let this be true.
Did King?
What?
Oh, King died of COVID. Oh, okay. King. He's saying the king died of COVID.
Oh, you fucking prick.
Oh,
Brad,
God.
don't do that.
Asshole.
Yeah, it was
2020 already has a higher celebrity count than 2016. Stop trying to get it like that.
Okay. False alarm. Misread it. My bad. Totally.
Oh, Dunn's King.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what would have helped, Drake, if you just said Dunn's King died of COVID instead of King. Because there's someone out there with the name King.
Yeah. His name. So the king's name is Henry. Like you do.
King Henry VIII?
A lot of like Shakespeare kings, king names for this one. But yeah, it originally it was this assassin was trying to kill the king's son because of reasons that will be revealed later, as opposed to, and then I kind of decided, no, that doesn't make sense. Let's kill him with poison. It would make more sense. And so
Not everything has to be
Did they
involved.
feed him bat steak, perchance?
What? Bat steak? I have no idea what that is.
It's steak, but it's made with bat.
Oh, interesting.
Whoops.
But it was kind of like I ended up kind of just writing as like a continuous narrative with like Richard kind of talking about some of the bad stuff he'd done in the past. then I realized that's not terribly satisfying for the reader. It would be better if I actually showed some of these events to the reader via just flashback chapters that are kind of like almost like in a movie where you see like you'll see like a person and then they'll go back in time and they'll go forward in time. That's what I did with this rather than just having a like flashback point where he like dumps a lot of like what's happened. And I ended up kind of having to restructure a little bit, but not that much. And a lot of book writing for this year was writing a lot of the flashback scenes, where he's gotten to be like kind of showing kind of the story of this kind of like not terribly happy man who just kind of doesn't like his life and how it's turned out, but he wants to solidify his family legacy so that there's something to remember him once he dies. That's the main kind of gist of the story of Prince of Winter. And it's kind of like using the flashback chapters allow me to kind of say, okay, this is what makes him who he is. He hates his dad because his dad's a pathetic fat man and he's kind of been egged on by his uncles and aunt and his grandpa's example to be more of like a person who takes charge and doesn't take no for an answer. And kind of just wants to be more like his grandpa than like his dad. So that's kind of his main like kind of he overcorrects inside. Like my dad was lax, but I'm going to like actually like correct a lot of the mistakes that my dad has been making by being very, very brutal to my adversaries to say, I'm the new kid. There's a new sheriff in town.
Look at me. I'm the captain.
Yeah, I'm the captain now. And it's kind of like it's a political thriller where it's very much focused, but it's kind of a very individualized political thriller, medieval political thriller, where it's like focusing just in on this one character, what makes him who he is, and what he is able to like accomplish during his life. And that's kind of the main gist of Prince of Winter, and kind of as well as kind of an exploration of what kind of different kinds of trauma do to you, like, or at least like, well, not like what kind of coping mechanisms, since him and his brothers kind of have a rocky relationship. At least him and his older brother, his younger brother's basically his hand, where he's like a man who like will basically like do whatever his brother needs him to do. However, he is kind of annoyed at his brother because his brother sleeps around, because his brother just kind of feels unbalanced after he fights and kills somebody. So he wants to serve the world by impregnating a bunch of women in order to kind of rebalance the scales, for lack of a
that's one way to sow your wild oats. Am I right?
Yeah. So that's kind of the main gist of the of how it works. And then the other brother is like, he just turns to drink because during a battle in the last war, he ran away from combat and just didn't fight. He just fled. And he's kind of just troubled with nightmares perpetually, and he just uses drink to keep from doing anything that would like give him those nightmares, and he just is perpetually scared or that he'll never be able to sleep is the main like gist of his character.
Pretty neat.
But he'll still keep his promises, still keep supporting his brother, but he has like that one weakness to drink that he just cannot shake. And when it
Hey, Dunn, I actually got to get going. I'm visiting a coworker in about an hour, but thank you
Alrighty.
for having me on.
Of course, it was great chatting with you.
Anyways, have a good night.
See you, okay?
I'll probably be more active in the near future. So
Wait, hang on. Something didn't happen. Duh, you didn't play his intro.
Yeah, you fucking massive.
you can play it
Okay.
now.
All right. Well, as he
Actually, it'd be
leaves,
symbolic for this, actually, since Yokkai's leaving. Just as Kiritsugu is.
Mission accomplished.
See?
What was that from?
I have
Fate
no
Zero.
Fate Zero.
I am definitely going to have to trim a lot of that out.
I don't know. It's perfect.
No, I mean like for copyright reasons.
Mm.
Yeah. But then that's very much the story of Prince of Winter, and it's kind of just this man's climb to power. And then we have Tempest of Shadow. This one was something that was very much a kind of a passion project, since I wanted to write someone who was OP and was a very powerful person. But then I wrote it and like I realized, okay, I'm able to write something different. Basically, the idea was basically man tries to break in through the bounds of reality to find a new source of power. And because of that, this power is unleashed on the world. However, before it gets fully destroyed, fully unleashed, the lady who brought it out manages to dissipate the entity so that he's now basically just like low-key all over the world. And like his power kind of just starts coming out in regular people, where it kind of was originally like just one or either the male half or female half. They decided to create there's this new source that can be had by either one, and it's a very dark power that doesn't have that doesn't seem to have many limits, but there are a lot of costs involved. Like you go crazy if you use it after a certain amount of time, and if you do it too often without mixing it in with the other two powers for stability. And some people that ended up being these incredibly powerful users who are able to use this without going crazy managed to what is it? Are basically despots over this small kingdom, their own like large kingdoms, and they're basically just there. And there are only a few areas in the world where they are able to like keep away from the bad guys because they have magic dampening devices. They keep them out of their territory. The main problem comes in because an adversary one of the Exalted named Ja'ana comes in, and she steals the device along with a bunch of her source users. The source users that are there because it's a genetic trait that just pops up in the population from time to time. And because this place doesn't have like a dilution of like just the genetic traits are more prevalent in this area just by virtue of the percentage. And in the middle of it is this young girl named Rayla who manages to escape, who manages to get away, but it's by killing a bunch of people who are the bad guys with magic. But the way that she's able to do that is because this voice in her head awakens and starts using the powers that she has. And she has a lot of like xenophobia towards herself because of what happened, and like her dad like says, "Get out. I don't want you here anymore." And so she does. But her friend Mal says, "Okay, you're going? Then I'm going with you." Kind of a Frodo and Samwise situation going on there.
This is it.
What?
One more step. It is the farther this is farther from I've ever been.
Kind of. Rayla's more hesitant to leave than Mal is. Mal just kind of wants to get out of town. Her and other boy named Damon, where they're kind of just like, we just kind of want to like find our own way, not just live here, and find somewhere where we can just live. Or at least like, well, xenophobia toward magic, I guess. And she just kind of like is suffering from cognitive dissonance because she has the ability to use magic, and to her, like, the ability to use magic is immoral. However, she's teamed with a person who is a staunch atheist who like thinks that the idea of like who doesn't believe in the existence of an almighty being. She just thinks it's just power. There's no like ethical thing against it. It just exists. You're being stupid is her perspective. And that's kind of their dynamic, where she's kind of this superstitious city girl from a backwater city, and this very posh professor type who likes empirical evidence and doesn't believe in much beyond like what she can see. But then her world is rocked when like she realizes, oh wait, I died and was reincarnated. My whole conception of reality is broken. But anyway, a lot of it is kind of like focused around these four characters. Another group of characters. She and Mel go off on their own to try and find a place to live, kind of like set themselves up. Rayla's kind of like struggling with like, should I use the power that I have? Should I not use it? And that's kind of a struggle for her throughout the book. And then there's another group of people who are going to go off and try and retrieve the kidnapped source users. And it ends up not working out too well, like at all. It ends up going not terribly good for them, but I'll leave you to figure out what happens when you read the book. And kind of a lot of it is Rayla kind of coming to grips with, okay, if I'm going to have this power, I'm going to use it to bring down the Exalted. That's what I'm going to do. And that's a lot of the book. Anyway, I think that'll do it for now. Thank you all for coming to the launch party. I've greatly appreciated your time and coming to watch.
It was great. Yeah, booze and champagne.
I have unexplainable happiness for you.
Oh, thank you. It's very
quite a while of work to write books and stuff, and worlds and consistency and all that.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, and figuring out consistent payoffs.
I think there's only one thing we need to tell the audience now. Now that the launch party's over, the champagne's pretty much gone, and everybody's drunk, not drunk, or just pretty much.
Well, for me, it's just Coke. Well, not even Coke. For me, it's just root beer. Since I actually hate Coca-Cola. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like Coke. I just don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Alrighty.
I'm more a Fanta person than anything.
Yeah. Well, I thank you all for coming. This has been a treat, and all I can say is...
Go!
Holy shit. Okay, we're going. Go!
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.